Working with exponents. Now, exponents are actually a mathematician's shorthand for writing that. Because we're multiplying 3 times itself 4 times, so we can write it 3 to the 4th or 4th power. That 4 means multiplying 3 4 times by itself. But this is an exponent, also known as a power. Since it's not like a regular number, or this is actually called a base, an exponent. Well, the way exponents work mathematically do not work the same way as the base. They always work one step less. So when we tell exponents to multiply, or add and subtract, they really can't do it. What's happening is you're combining like terms. In other words, the base actually does the adding and subtracting if and only if or I shouldn't say base, the coefficient, sorry. The coefficient, or the leading number, is what does the math, while the base and exponent do not do anything. They just have to be identical. They act more like a label. An example. We examine this. Is the base and exponent the same? If the answer is yes, then this 3 and this 2 do the addition. So 3 plus 2 equals 5, and the label carries. No math transpired on the base and exponent. Same thing works with subtracting. Now, when something like this does not have an exponent listed, there's one there, but the exponent is a 1. We don't tend to write it. Doesn't mean it's wrong to write it. We just don't tend to. It's assumed to know that there's just 1x. So this is 5x cubed minus 2x to the first. Again, what was the first thing it said we need to do? Compare the base and exponent. If the base and exponent is the same, we can do the true math. But in this case, is the base and exponent the same? No, they're both bases are x, but one's x to the third and one's x to the first. What does that mean? No math actually takes place. The answer is 5x cubed minus 2x to the first. We cannot combine or condense or simplify any further. However, if I had 5x cubed minus 2x cubed, again, I compare this part, it's the same, so the math that transpires is there. 5 minus 2 equals 3, with the label carrying through. Okay? That's adding and subtracting. Well, what happens when we multiply? Because remember, we do one step less. When we multiply with exponents, the coefficients do multiply, but the exponential part of the terms, they do one step less. Exponents add. So what does that look like? Multiplication, this part doesn't have to be the same. I was only adding and subtracting. The coefficients do multiply. So 3 times 4 equals 12. But remember, we do one step less. One step less is addition. So with the exponents, we add. So 3 plus 2 is 5. What just happened was 3 times 4 is 12, and this carries to the 5th. This is the answer for multiplication. Let's do another one. Okay, coefficients, or the big numbers, do the multiplication. So 2 times 5 is 10. Again, remember, if there is no exponent, the exponent's actually a 1. The exponents add. 1 plus 3 is 4. That is addition or multiplication of exponents. One step less. Let's talk division. One step less of division. Well, if multiplication is addition, then guess what? Division is subtraction. Example. Big numbers do the division. So 16 divided by 4 gives me 4. X to the 5th divided by x to the 3rd. This is the exponential part. It subtracts. So 5 minus 3 gives me 2. Right? We think on this one. Big numbers divide. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 3 minus 1. Because remember, 3x cubed divided by x1 subtracts. And when there's no exponent, the exponent's 1. So 3 minus 1 is 2. I keep repeating that part because that's something students miss. So there's our basics. We need to talk about a couple more situations, though. The zero exponent. Anything to the 0 power is 1. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I raise anything to the 0 power, it's 1. Now be careful. I get 3x to the 0. Now the 3 is not being affected by that exponent. Only the x part is. So this is actually 3 times x to 0, which is 1, which is actually just 3 because it's 3 times 1. There is a difference between this, though, and this. This means the 3 is being affected by the exponent. So 3x, the whole thing raised to the 0 power, is 1. Be careful on this because this works on all of the exponents. When you are raising anything, if it's inside the parentheses versus this. These two scenarios, students will think are the same thing, and they're not. This one, only the part, the x is being affected. This one, the whole thing is being affected. The negative exponent. That is a number screaming, "Move me." So we have something called x to the negative third. That means, think of it like this, becomes 1 over x cubed. He went from upstairs to downstairs. I have 2x to negative 5. On this one, the 2 is not being affected, just the x. So the 2 stays where it's at. X to the 5th moves below. So a negative exponent doesn't affect the sign or the on this. It just says, "Move me." All right, this video went a little longer than normal, but we covered 5 quick topics with exponents. Good luck.